Hello, I'm Jason Tamerick, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Film Talks, where we sit down with industry professionals and get their personal insights and experiences on the topics and subjects that matter. So today we're here talking with Casey Slade, renowned key grip, dolly grip, and grip here working in Hollywood, about how it is to work with difficult personalities. And of course, in the freelance world, you're always bound to work with different people on every project. So with that said, I'd like to introduce to you Casey Slade and his take on working with a variety of people.
So, people. People are the biggest part of this industry. Without people, we got nothing. Now, some of those people are awesome. Some of those people, not so much. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about working and dealing, managing, coping with difficult people. I'm a key grip, I'm a dolly grip, and I'm what they call a hammer, which is also a grip, all right? That's how I make my living. And as a grip, I work with different people. Almost every project, there's someone new. Typically, I work with a lot of the same key grips, a lot of the same director of photographies and cinematographers, okay? But a lot of times, I'll do a hall call or a union call, and I'll be on a show where I know absolutely no one. It's hard. Guess what? Suck it up, cupcake. You can't pick who you work for a lot of times. You can't pick your parents, so to speak. So you're going to have to deal with people that are going to look down on you just because they're in a higher position. It's just a fact of the business. Oh, well, that's not right. No, you should be this, you should. Great. Kumbaya. Great. I love it. The reality of the matter is that we're in an ego-driven business, and people are going to have a tendency to look down on you. They're going to be curt. They're going to be short. They're not going to feel like they have to justify you with an explanation for certain things. There's a lot of things like that that happen in this business on a daily basis in every single department. And I swear to God, if you talk to me like that in a bar, I would knock you the hell out. But I can't do that because they have those pesky little laws that govern your safety right now. And I want to work in this business for the rest of my life. You're going to have that. Keep it all inside because this isn't a personal thing. There's so many different people in this industry at so many different skill levels. There's always going to be someone better than you are. My buddy John worked at a studio. He was the lighting board operator. Great job. He decided he wanted a raise. They didn't want to give him a raise. So in order to make a point, he decided to go on a strike of one. So he's like, I'm on strike. They're like, what? You're on strike. He's like, yeah, get somebody else to run your lighting board until you decide that I'm worth X amount of dollars and da-da-da-da-da. So off John goes. Well, 2 days later, John comes back, and I'm sitting there up in the grid, and I'm listening to him talk to the production manager down because I'm lighting the grid, you know, and I'm listening to him. He's like, who's this guy? Well, that's your replacement. Well, I didn't quit. He's like, well, you kind of did because you said you went on strike. This is not a strikeable job. You know, we got another guy to run the board. Your services are no longer needed. And he was like, well, that's BS. I'm like, well, no, it's not. Welcome to the real world, you moron. You know, that's just the name of the game. So there's always going to be someone more than happy to take your job from you. There's always going to be someone that's better than you are at your own job. I don't care how good you think you are, there's always going to be somebody better out there doing it. Even again, if you're a plumber, there's always going to be somebody that can set a toilet seat better than you can, okay? So don't act like you're all that and you're irreplaceable because you are not. You are so replaceable, it's scary how replaceable we are in this business, and it's scary how fast, bang, you can lose an opportunity. For a number of reasons. So a lot of people, it's like a tight walk, you know, or walking on eggshells. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Once you get the experience behind you, you really don't have to worry about a lot of that because it just will come naturally. So, you're fresh out of film school. You've done a thesis film, you've done maybe, you know, a couple of shorts that, you know, that were part of your class. Maybe, you know, your cousin's uncle's brother got you a job as a PA on Batman 12, you know, and you think that you're just the shit. You think that you're just, I am invincible. You couldn't be more wrong. You're not. Now, that doesn't say that you don't have potential. That's not to say that you're not good at what you do. But the one thing, you remember all the contacts and your reputation and all of that stuff that we've been talking about here, it all comes back to how you relate to people. Most of the stuff that you guys are going to be doing is going to be non-union for a while, unless you luck out and you get your days and you get on a show that flips into the union, and then you're on a union show. Okay, let's talk about that a little bit later if we can. Right now, let's just talk about all the non-union garbage that you're going to be working on for the next couple of years to make all of those contacts. Because those contacts that you make now, the contacts that you have in film school, the contacts that you make out on the street, those are your peers now. Those are your colleagues. Those are the people who are going to be hiring you, right? So you're going to want to coddle and take care of them, aren't you? So now one of your buddies gets you a job on a film, and it's, you know, it's a big budget film, and oh my God, look at all these people running around and all these toys. And you show up and you go up to the DP and you say to the DP, your light looks a little specular. And you are gone so fast it will make your head spin. There's always going to be somebody better than you at your job and every other job. It's not personal. If they know, they just know, because you want to say something so bad. You see something that contradicts something that somebody taught you in film school, that contradicts something that you actually did in the past. All of these things are going to be really difficult to gauge, and they're going to be even more difficult to keep inside bottled up, because then it starts to fester. Well, don't deal with it on set. Talk to the guys at the truck, or talk to the guys in the sound booth, or talk to the guys, you know, talk to anybody but anybody that's on set at that moment. Take it away, okay? If you got questions, take it away from set. On set is it's a clean environment, so to speak. You know, you don't want any contaminants. That's why everything's got to be quiet. They don't want any cell phones. Make sure you're not sitting in eye lines. All of this stuff is extremely important for the fluidity of the set and what goes on there. If you've got an actor that's about to do a crying scene, you don't want to be standing next to the camera laughing and all jovial, you know, because you're going to take her out of that moment. So it's really, really important to know, to get a feel of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. They don't teach you that stuff in film school, or a lot of it anyway. They may breeze kind of through it and focus on theory and practice, but a lot of the etiquettes and protocols, it's kind of up to you, because a lot of them are kind of unspoken. So the long and the short of it is this, just like any other business, you're going to have to work with a ton of different people. Personalities ranging from the coolest person you've ever met to bipolar psycho. Everything in between you're gonna encounter in this business and in life. So when working with difficult people, gauge them. You know, if you're walking through a minefield and you know where all the mines are, okay, don't step on the mines. It's pretty basic stuff, guys. It's pretty basic stuff. So show up on time. Again, I'll reiterate, I'll say that a kabillion times. I don't care. That's how important it is. Because when you're late, pisses people off. And that turns them into a difficult person. Because now, guess what? They've got a boss too. And that boss is wondering why it's taking so long to do this. And then you've got to explain to your boss why they're a man down. You know what I mean? So show up on time. Don't be a know-it-all. Okay, if you think you know, and if you're new, and if you've been in this business 10, 15 years, by all means speak up. If you've been in this business 10, 15 minutes, keep your mouth shut and watch me work, and you'll see why in the long run something was done this way. And in the future, if you feel like you can do it better, then more power to you. But now is not the time, okay? So coddle these relationships, respect yourself, respect other people, be on set, know the etiquettes and the protocols. And those difficult people really won't be difficult unless they have a reason to be. So best thing I could say is don't give them a reason to be difficult, and usually you can avoid that shooting range. That's pretty much it.
All right, so one great way of working with people with big egos is to kill them with your kindness or your personality, which Casey has made an art form of over the course of his career. Now, I'm allowed to say that because, Casey, we've worked together for years and years and years and had a fantastic time on set.
Yeah.
And, I think one of the things that's important to mention is, you always surround yourself with people that you like to work with. Because there's a lot of people who are talented at what they do. But by the end of the day, if you're working on a long project and you're working for 16, 18 hours a day, you want to be around people you like. But that doesn't always happen. And a lot of times you run into people with ego. And especially in this industry, there's a lot of it. Where do you think that comes from? And where does ego come from?
Well, we're in an ego-driven business. Everything from an actor that's got to be in front of a camera and vulnerable. Like actors, I love actors because that's exactly what they are, is they're vulnerable. They put it all out there for people to see. And when they mess up in front of 100 people that are looking at them and, all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't really matter because they're so in love with their craft that they're going to do it. Now, egos in terms of producers, directors, DPs. I mean, I had a PA last week say, oh, well, I just came off of, was a Spider-Man 12, whatever it was. He threw out some, was it Iron Man? I don't know, it was huge, right? And everybody's looking at him, and he's wearing like the crew shirt, and he was a production assistant. We all know what production assistants do, okay? It's not rocket science, but being a good PA is extremely important, just like being a good camera operator or a DP. But this guy's ego, he'll probably be an executive producer in a week, this guy, just because he has no choice and he's got such a sense of entitlement. The clouds are going to open, and the seas will part, and someone is going to magically hand this kid a career already. He's already shot War and Peace 12 times in his own mind. You know what I mean? So ego is driven by the self. It's driven by everything else in the world that you've got going on that have somehow put you up on your own pedestal. Maybe it's you looking in the mirror, maybe it's everybody on the outskirts of your life telling you how amazing you are and how talented you are, and then you run with it and you start believing what everybody's telling you. Or maybe it's the fact that you're so insecure with yourself that all of a sudden now you're projecting this massive ego to hide the shy little boy or the little girl inside, or whatever psychobabble you want to put into it, okay? Ego is still ego. You have to have an ego in this business in order to make it. You can't be a conceited prick. You can't be, copping attitudes with people that obviously know more than you when, you don't. It sucks.
There's a fine line, though, and I think you nailed it because, the ego is what drives us. I mean, every one of us is a creative, and we've got stories, we've got a vision. But it takes tools, it takes communication ability, it takes experience to be able to manifest that into what the audience sees on the screen. And a lot of times it takes a lifetime to learn that. It's why you don't see directors who are 25 years old winning the Academy Award for Best Director.
Yeah.
You see guys who are in their 40s and 50s because that life experience is what tames it. So, then it's important then on set to keep that in check. So how do you manage that? How do you manage the guy who thinks he knows everything? And then how do you manage the actress who has such horrible insecurities that she has an ego? I mean, because you've got to work with those people.
Well, I'll tell you, because I'm one of those people. I've got a huge ego.
No.
Yeah. I know. I've got a huge ego, right? But I also have an equal ability to swallow my pride as much as voice it, okay? And I think that that's kind of rare in this business. I will be the first one to go home at night and tell myself what a piece of crap I am and how I could have been better that day. I do it every day, all day, after every single project, even if everybody's like, oh, that was amazing, great dolly move, blah, 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 great rig, can't believe it, you saved the day, doesn't matter. I go home and tell myself I'm a piece of crap and I could have done better. And what could I have done to do better? Now, excuse me, sometimes I fall short of taking my own advice. I try not to. I honestly do try. All my friends are going to laugh, but I swear to God, I try not to. But sometimes I fall short, sometimes I hit it. The ability to swallow your pride and keep your mouth shut can be painstakingly difficult, especially for a guy like me. I'm loud, I'm boisterous, I'm passionate about everything. Even if I was going to pick my nose, I would do it with passion. You know what I mean? Like the most mundane things. And that's why, that's another thing that people have to understand is the energy that you put out there is perceived differently by everybody else because they don't know your backstory, nor do they care. All they know is you're being too damn loud on set and get this guy out of here. You know, so I've had a lot of that. Everything that I've learned, it's been from screwing up about as bad as anybody can screw up in this business. So I think I pretty much got that covered. You know what I mean? I've never gotten anyone hurt. I've never had a rig fall to hurt someone or anything like that. So I don't want to learn that lesson because I've already learned enough lessons to know how to rig to avoid that. But yeah, dealing with people with egos is a very fragile, touchy. Okay, the best way to deal with a person with an ego, and you can see that this person is kind of bordering on the self-righteous and maybe bordering on the non-compliant and bordering on the insane, whatever word you might want to come up with. Know that you're not going to change their mind. Don't argue with them. If they're in a position of power over you, then, you know, you're there to serve them. It's not the other way around. So in order to keep your job and to keep the peace and keep the contact and all that kind of stuff, a lot of times you're going to have to swallow your pride. A lot of times you're going to have to manage your own ego and let someone else's ego win. I saw a saying tattooed on this gal's arm, and I was like, excuse me, what is that? Because it was really small letters, you know? And it said, would you rather be right or happy? That's huge in this business. So you can talk all day long and trying to prove to the world that you're right, but in the end, no one is going to take your side because thou dost protest too much kind of thing, right? You know, when we all kind of like get ourselves in a situation, we try and talk our way out of it and we end up digging the hole deeper. It's better just to shut up and take it.
And a lot of it is walking in somebody else's shoes too.
Yeah.
You know, because if somebody, like for example, an actress, you know, and we see this all the time with performers. I mean, think about it this way. You know, when you're an actor or you're a model or you're a singer, or you're a dancer, your body is your product. Your face is your product. Your voice is your product. Your personality is your product. And when you go from audition to audition to audition and you hear no, 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 it's hard to not take that personally. You know, when you're behind the camera, at least your work is your product. You know, it's not personal. So, you know, when that person comes on set, in a way, a defense mechanism is developing that ego as a protective bubble. Because I am worth it. I am validated. I do have talent. I am worthy of it. And for a lot of people, that ego gets out of hand because you're compensating in a way. And so in a way, you know, work with those people with kid gloves. You know, be complimentary. Take them aside. Tell them they're doing a good job. A compliment, like you really look beautiful in that last take, makes a huge difference.
Or don't say anything at all and run like the wind and stay away from them.
Yes,
you know,
or that too, if it's not your job.
I just went through that. You know, this guy, everything was great for 4 weeks on this television show, big show. 4 weeks, everything was awesome. Now, and on television shows, you've got new DPs and you've got new directors all the time. You know, one guy will come in. I actually got to work with Peter Weller, dude, fucking RoboCop. Oh, sorry, excuse me, but yeah, it was awesome. He was an awesome director. That's enough of that shit. Let's get out of here. I got to get the game on. It was awesome. But anyway, so I'm working with this guy. Everything is great. In comes a new director. In comes a new camera operator. Okay, these guys were horrible. They were pretty good at their job, but their communication skills sucked. They sucked. And all of a sudden, this perfect environment that I was in went to crap really fast, and I had to take it. And I had to suck it up. And I had to keep it all inside.
And just do your job.
And just do my job. And in the end, you know, it's all about what makes you happy, okay? I started hating my job. I started hating getting up and going to work every day. I just started hating life, and I just said, I'm not going back. So I turned down probably one of the highest paying television jobs for me in my entire career to go work for half the money with friends of mine. But I'll tell you what, dude, the night that I did that I knew in my mind that I wasn't going back to that environment, and I knew what I was worth to myself, I haven't slept that good in a month and a half since I'd been on the show.
Yeah, that's important.
It's really important.
You know, one thing, you know, we talk about ego, and it's important to say that you need to have a degree of self-preservation in the business too, because it's so easy to become a doormat for people.
Yeah.
And, you know, not intentionally. You know, when you look at low budget, especially non-union projects, you have to remember that the director, the writer, the producer may have been working for years.
And it may all be the same guy. Anyway, continue.
And this guy gets to the set, and I mean, this is his life. This is his passion.
Yeah.
And if he wants to push the crew, and I mean, his passion can translate into arrogance, can translate into being pushy, can push the crew.
Yeah.
And so in a way, part of being a professional knows how to balance that, how to appease it, but balance it. So you're not a doormat, but you don't let yourself be taken advantage of, but you're not abrasive and lose yourself a job.
Yeah.
It's a very, very, very fine balance.
Yeah. Because there's going to be 20 people that are going to just regurgitate the story, and it's going to be completely wrong anyway. You know what I mean? So the fact of the matter is, do what makes you happy, but by the same token, you've got to learn to juggle all these people with the different kinds of egos for different reasons. Like I said, they don't know your backstory, nor do they care. They just want, because they have a boss, and their boss has a boss. You know, and if you're not doing your job, you could literally cost them tens, hundreds, even millions of dollars. You know, so it's extremely important to learn how to speak to people, especially the people with an ego, if you want to work for them again, because they don't care. They'll get somebody else that quick. They'll have the job filled before you leave the building, before your parking is validated. They'll already have somebody on their way in.
That's great. Yeah, that's perfect. Casey, thank you for sharing this with us.
Thanks, Bob.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man.
And, you know, for more information about how to get a career in the industry and the realities of working freelance and with difficult people, be sure to check out the Industry Lifestyle modules here in FilmSkills, where a variety of industry professionals take you through their experiences and share with you tips and tricks on how to survive the sometimes difficult and challenging waters of working in the motion picture and television industry. So thank you very much for your time. Go out and make beautiful pictures and do it safely.